Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, or if you're new here, welcome. It's always a pleasure to have someone new visit the channel. Today I have for you a new rare game experience. I can already hear the new people to the channel going, okay, I'll bite, what's this? Well, I'm glad you asked. The Rare Game Experiences is a series I go into that tells about odd, unusual, or just rare video games. These can be anything from PC games to console games all the way to arcade games, which frankly are some of my favorites to cover in the series just because of how cool they look, and today is no exception, because today we're going to Japan again. I know, I go to Japan all the time in this series, at least for those of you that know, but man, I can't help it. Some of these cabinets are just some of the coolest ones that you run into, which for people who followed this channel for a while, or did a lot of your own research, should come as no surprise, because Japan's been kind of hardcore into the arcade scene since, well, they started getting into video games, and they've made games of almost everything from flipping tables to slapping bottoms, and, well, okay, this one's kind of tame compared to that last one, but this one's based on Taiko drones, because we're talking about Taiko no Tatsujin, or as it translates into in English, Master of Drums, which I'll butcher a lot less than the previous name. So, if you have some time, grab a snack and sit back and hang out for a while as we bang out this drum solo. Now, before we get into the game, we should probably go a bit into the Taiko drums. Hey, no groaning, this is History Channel. Gaming history, yes, but Taiko drums have a lot of historical significance in the Japanese culture, which I'm likely about to butcher, but I'm going to do my best, so here goes. Taiko drums started to show up around the 6th century of Japan and were thought to have actually been introduced through Chinese or Korean influence. Japan actually took to them for a few different purposes: communication, military action, and theatrical accompaniment, just to name a few of them. That's not all of them. Communication often meant military communication, where the drum would be played in such a way as to communicate a message to troops in the field. This would also lead to being used in military action, as well as motivation, as the drums were used to inspire soldiers, to help them march in time with each other, etc. Theatrical accompaniment is also pretty self-explanatory, with them being used to either stir certain emotions in a song, set mood for a particular scene, or any number of other reasons. Any way you look at it, these drums have been at the core of ancient Japanese culture for a very long time, and it makes sense in that context that they would eventually make their way into some type of game. So, let's take a look at the cabinet next and see how that works, shall we? Now, it should probably come as no surprise what drew me into talking about this one. I mean, just look at the cabinet itself. With its bright colors, elaborate over-the-top graphics, and all-over predominant drum setup, it would be impossible for me not to walk by this thing in the arcade and not stare at it. This would be the kind of cabinet that would actually probably give Cartman nightmares in circa Olympics 2022.
Broadcast of the Olympic opening ceremonies from Beijing. Thousands of Chinese performers play ancient Chinese drums. The precision of their movements made even more impressive by their massive numbers.
This elaborate cabinet was developed by Bandai Namco and published by Namco itself, and first hit the arcade scene in 2001. This is, as you would suspect, a rhythm game. The player uses the drumsticks, or the bachi as they are called, to follow the rhythm on the screen, working in many ways like a Donkey Konga game, just with less playful music. The player would need to hit one side or the other of the drum, sometimes even the edge, to score, and you can see from the footage shown, this can get kind of insanely fast depending on the difficulty you pick or the song you pick, much like, well, most rhythm games. Now, when I first saw this, I thought this was some sort of one-off cabinet that had a short run, but man, oh man, was I wrong. This game got ported everywhere. There have been at least 11 different versions of this game released, and I think that's just for the arcade, with ports from the PS2 and up. And if you think this was only console, you'd be wrong. This hit the DS, the PSP, Vita, macOS, iOS, and Android. If you had seen if this thing could fit on a screen, it likely landed on it. Heck, there was even a recent release on modern consoles as late as November 7th of 2024. I mean, look at this controller. You can get this for the Switch or the PS5 or other things. It's adorable, guys. Look at this thing. I mean, it might break pretty fast if you play with it hardcore, but it's still a freaking crazy cool looking controller and I love it. However, that's enough of me briefly talking about this thing. What do you guys actually think of this thing? Are you guys aware of this series? And if so, what do you think of it? Have any of you ever played it? And if so, what did you think? Did you even, or do you even like rhythm games? And if so, which ones do you like? Let me know in the comments. While you're there, if you don't mind, leave this video a like. Heck, if you see more of my stuff you actually like, consider following the channel. That actually helps me out a ton. Till we meet again though, I hope you have a great rest of your day. And until we meet again, happy gaming.